Alright, let's add some cars into our road. Honestly, I searched a lot to find high quality and fine cars. Also match the camera angle with our project. As you see, most of them does not even match the angle, sadly. So that was why I recommend you to use Pixel Squid. It is very helpful and very useful if you didn't render 3D. For example, vehicle, or maybe car, it is simpler. You could simply find your car type. Of course, we're looking for realistic. Imagine, for example, I don't know, this car. As I mentioned before, it is working full 3D panoramic, so you could rotate it and match. You don't need match here. There is a plugin for that in Photoshop. You could download it and purchase if you like. But because I don't want to use that, so I searched few images here. For example, maybe few cars like that, or a few angle cars like that works fine. By the way, some formats of images are WebP, and by default Photoshop cannot open them, so you have to download few files and copy in your Photoshop plugin directory and local files to work it. Allow me to check, is this working or not. For example, I'm opening this file. To selecting the car, you could using mask with any techniques, tracing manually, or just go to the select menu, subject, and check it is working or not. As you see, working very fine. Create mask and simply drag it into your project. Yes. Alright, I move it up. And the angle is not so correct, but still you could match it with your scene. Control or Command T. As you see, now I have more border, but if your mask it is fine and acceptable, just right click and convert to Smart Object. Now not only we could preserve informations, also if I press Control or Command T, boundaries are much smaller. Hold on the control and something like that maybe could match simpler. It is nothing so noticeable if I make them smaller and put in the far or even this side. It could easily match. By the way, this car is too bright and maybe not so perfect for our project, but you have to find some elements to measure and scale to fit correct one. Oops. Again, my system is getting too slow. Okay. Maybe touch the ground, it could be fit. And alright. Make it smaller. Maybe this car could be here. Still, I think it is big. So transform and resize it. Maybe something like that. Even if some part of angle is not correct, you could move it forward and simply mask these sections to not be visible. For example, I could simply allow me to decrease opacity, make a rough selection, hold on the Alt or Option key and make mask. You see, something like that. By the way, allow me to fix this straight here. I'm not sure because I didn't name, sadly it is hard to find. Yeah, I create a mask and again press L to enable polygonal lasso, and my foreground color is black, so Alt or Option backspace or delete. Okay. And and of course not between the lines. Allow me to choose the car. Still, I think this car should be smaller. This should be my car. Yeah. Control or Command T. Sadly, because of that mask, as you see, now I have problem. So I undo that. Allow me to undo. Unlink. Select your layer and Control T. I think it should be something like that, maybe. Alright. Or maybe too small. Just try to find some correct scale. Then resize your elements. It is too bright, so image adjustment, exposure. I decrease the exposure value and gamma correction a bit. Not too much, it is a very shiny metallic car. But because we have a very reflective car, so you could simply add a bit tint, Control or Command B to bring color balance for midtones, a bit bluish, shadows, not too intense, but maybe a bit magenta, okay. And highlight a bit green, blue and cyan. Yeah, this fits much more. And because I didn't brought the shadow, so I duplicate the layer, select below layer, right click and rasterize layer, Control T, right click, flip vertical. It is not reflection actually, we don't need something like that. You could hold down Control and simply just press it, and maybe, yeah, something like that could be fine. Allow me to match. Sadly, my system is getting too slow again. I'm trying to match the shadows like bushes, and because I want to make light. Alright. Also refine mask here too. We don't need color. Shift Control U, Control U, and I could make it black. Oops, getting too slow again. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. I'm just trying to simply make very soft shadow. Okay. And for blending mode, of course, we set on multiply and decrease the shadow opacity. As you see, the mask is not so perfect for my car, so I could choose it. Again, refine the mask or just select your mask. Brush, a bit soft, not too much, and manually I could remove some issues here. I just roughly trying to trace it. Actually it is matched, but still you could work on that. For example, I could duplicate this layer, remove color information, Control or Command U and desaturate it, and Control or Command I want to make inverse. And note that now I could choose different blending mode to keep some parts, or just simply double click on any empty area of the layer. On the blend if I remove, hold on the Alt or Option key and remove lighten parts. Alright, very fadey. Allow me to check. Not bad, actually we don't need these parts, I will remove it later. And try to find some good blending mode, something like overlay. It is fine, I guess. Check here. Removed a lot of shading. Check here. Even if we need a stronger version, simply press Ctrl or Command J and it is getting stronger, and you could decrease opacity, or while your layer here selected, and as you know we have darker version here, press Ctrl or Command M or L for bringing curves or levels, and still you could make it darker and darker and remove some highlights. See, I removed a bit about glossiness and reflections, light intensity. I think now it's getting much more matched. Of course, you could add adjustments, for example, something like solid color, some blue. I wanna apply to below layer here, Alt or Option click. Alright, and find some blending. You could find your ideal blending mode. I set on overlay, decrease the opacity, and maybe darker, less saturated. Allow me to check before and after. Yep, definitely much more better. Yep, that's fine. And you could add more cars, vehicles, people or so. Maybe this vehicle works better here, so I open it. We have shadow here, actually we could add it. Select subject, and I could make mask, but disable mask. You see we have here the mask. I could bring brush, white color, very low flow, and soft, and slowly start bringing the shadow. Allow me to create background to see exactly shadows. Okay, something like that could be fine. You see, something like that. It is very simple, and you could remove anytime you like. So I bring this layer to my project. Yes, allow me to move it up. Oh, the angle is not working at all. The mask is not perfect here, so I want to remove some parts. It is not ideal. Okay, maybe just a bit lightened because of ambient lightings. Alright, that's fine. I could bring back yeah, a bit more. Because the ground was so shiny, it is bright. Alright. No worries about transparency. As I mentioned before, anytime you need, you could just press Ctrl or Command J to duplicate. You see, it's going back. And maybe instead of distorting the car, I just move it someplace which seems the car is trying to change the lane. Okay. Allow me to check. The scale is almost matched. And I will bring back the mask. Very hard. Flow 100%. Alright, click here. Here. Here and here. Do not have a transparent car, of course. And I could readjust it. Select a layer. It is not smart, so right click, convert to smart object. Sorry, I'm just saving on and on. This is the old-fashioned style image adjustment, exposure, decrease exposure, and gamma. All right. If you want to make very realistic, of course, you could do a lot of things. Not only the color matching, light intensity, reflection of environment, the lights coming through, etc. But I'm just trying to give you a quick demonstration. You have to put a lot of time to make more realistic. And again, Control or Command J. Oh, I didn't make it smart. It's okay. Shift Control U to desaturate it. Control or Command I, invert it. I could even press Control or Command L to make it a bit darker. You see, something like that. Double click. And on Blend If, remove white parts. And keep darken parts. Also, if you have a lot of light, if I press Ctrl L, simply you could remove output levels of any part you don't like, something like that. You see, we don't have anymore too much brightness. Okay, now I'm using Blend If. Okay, it's getting some smoky and overlay, and you could decrease opacity and set any places you like. For example, you won't apply to the rim, so I select the mask, brush, black color, and just simply remove them. Or from glass or any places you don't like. For example, the lights here, you see? But I think in general it is better. Okay. Much more fit with our scene. Okay. Select the main car. Control or Command B. Again, apply a bit cold colors to match more with your scene. I think this is too much. Yeah. Values are too strong because the car already is blue, but still you could press Ctrl or Command U to bring hue saturation and desaturate a bit. As I mentioned before, usually when you're making darker, I want to make the main building contrast and light a bit adjustment, so this is the correct version. I have to adjust our original building. I think the scale is not so correct, so select them all, link them together, Control or Command T, and maybe a bit rescale. Yeah, something like that. Okay, you could move it anytime, any place you like, don't worry. And again, duplicate the layer, unlink the layer, Control T, right click, flip vertical. And because of this angle, we have to match manually. I first match the front rim and Control match here. But this is just shadow, don't worry too much. Oops. Getting too slow. Sorry, I have trouble to edit. And at the same time recording. Alright. Just match overall. Control or Command U. Make black. Okay. filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and as I mentioned before, if you want to make even more realistic, use tilt blur, more blurriness. Okay, maybe because of these lights it should be shorter, so allow me to compact it. Yeah, it shouldn't be too wide, something like that. Maybe it is better. And overlay, sorry, multiply, decrease the opacity amount. I think that's fine. All right,